All right, welcome back. Welcome back. The attendance is running. Please sign in. We start? Thank you. So believe it or not, this is class 8. We are 25% done with the semester. Every semester I say it goes by faster and faster, but it truly feels this way. We're moving along pretty well. Today is the sort of the last class where it gets hard, and maybe it gets hard today. I'm just warning you for Thursday. Read carefully. It's a small number of pages, but give yourself a lot of time. Don't think you can blow through it quickly. Let me start off by going through the poll from last class, see if any lingering questions people might have. What did they get to? Video games. Okay, yeah. This question I want to get to. A lot of you are asking about what it means for property to be attached to land, right? That was an important distinction. What needs to be attached? And the cases, frankly, do not provide a lot of guidance what attached means. If it's buried in the soil, buried in the ground, that's probably attached. If it's lying on the surface, not attached. If it's floating around in a pool of water, probably not attached, but it's a closer call. What happens if it's inside of a house? And let's say a ring falls between floorboards, right? There's a gap in the floorboards and the ring falls in there and it gets stuck inside the floors. Is that attached? Harder question. I don't think the cases give you a clear answer, short of if it's in the soil, it's attached, but these are the sort of things you have to make a judgment call. And frankly, I think you could go either way on them. Okay? I hope I cleared all of your questions. Very good. Okay. Let me do a couple poll questions I think will answer some of the other issues that were outstanding. All right, so the first question, short answer, state succinctly, what is the rule established by Hannah versus Peel? And we'll go over that in a moment. What is the rule established by Hannah versus Peel? And who's next? If I can just get a... Okay, Darsh, you're up in a minute. All right. All right, you guys taking your time. Another 10 seconds. All right, Darvish, help us out here. What's your answer?
If property is unattached, then it goes to the finder if the landowner does not have prior knowledge of it.
Okay.
And if the property is attached, then the property goes to the owner.
Okay, very good. I think you said a couple things. I want to just pick them out. Right. Hannah was considering several different lines of precedent. One of which was armory. Right? And armory usually says the finder prevails over subsequent finders. That's easy. But Hannah included a wrinkle. What happens if the finder locates the item on someone else's land? And Hannah went through several cases. And by the way, you need to know all those other cases. Even if it's a subsidiary case, you need to know those cases. So Bridges versus Hawksworth, for example, said if the property is lost, it goes to the finder, even if it belongs to someone else's property, for example, a shop. But then you have Sharman and Briggs. Sharman and Briggs says if it's attached to the ground, It does not go to the finder. It goes to the person who owns the property. So Hannah recognizes sort of distinction between property attached and property that's not attached. If it's attached, it goes to the property owner under Sharman and Briggs. If it's unattached, it goes to the owner. Goes to the finder. That's Bridges. Everyone with me so far? Any questions of that? All right, so try question number 2, please. And try to, I know you guys can text very fast, so we'll try and go a little bit quicker. Why did the shopkeeper prevail in McAvoy versus Medina? And usually wants to make a GIF or something, right? I'll just put an emoji in there. I know you can type fast. Why did the shopkeeper prevail in McAvoy versus Medina? And if you don't like using your phone, you can actually use a computer also to type. You can go to the iClicker website instead of using the phone. I actually hate typing on the phone. Okay. And who's next, Nick or Dylan? Okay, another 15 seconds. All right, Nick, what's your answer here?
I think that it's because the property was misplaced and not lost.
Okay, what's the difference between lost property, Nick, and misplaced property?
Lost property is...
Use an example, right? In McAvoy, where was the money found? On the table, right? Why would we think money might be on a table? What probably happened here?
Sorry, I can't really hear you there. I don't know if the mic is
I don't usually use a mic. Yeah, over. Why? Where was the property located in McAvoy?
It was on the table.
Why was it likely on the table?
So the customer left it there.
Good. Was that property lost or misplaced?
Misplaced.
What would be an example of lost property? Where would you find lost property?
Lost and found
Yeah, but before it gets lost and found, where do you find it?
on the ground.
Yeah, on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. What does it mean if a wallet's on the floor? What probably happened here?
I fell out of someone.
And would the person who lost the wallet know to go back to that spot and even know where it fell out? Right. Exactly. Okay, good. Thank you. If you can't hear me, just tell me to come over. I know the mask muffles it, but I'm pretty loud. We'll do the best we can. Right. So McAvoy introduces a distinction. Property that's lost goes to the finder. And that's the rule in Bridges, right? So it adheres to Bridges. But property that's misplaced, for example, on the table, goes to the owner of the property, the shopkeeper. And that's the rule from McAvoy. So we have these sort of 3 rules, right? Which I put in the board last time. If it's attached to the ground, it goes to the property owner under Sharman and Briggs. That's number 1. Number 2, if it's lost, it goes to the finder, right? If it's unattached and lost, it goes to the finder. That's Bridges. And 3, if it's unattached and misplaced, it goes to the property owner under McAvoy. So these precedents don't line up neatly, but you can at least try to make an educated guess over which rule applies. Is it the finder gets it, or does the property owner get it? And you would use either Sharman, Bridges, or McAvoy to resolve it. Name tags, please. Everyone, name tags. Oh, thank you. That makes my life so much easier. Clark, go ahead.
So just to make sure with the, wasn't attached to the ground, when you said the property owner has the right, you mean the owner of the land? Right?
Yeah, the owner, I'm sorry, the owner of the land, yeah. Yep.
But for the misplaced, would be the same thing.
Yeah, it's always the owner of the land, right? Obviously, if the person owns the chattel, then it's his, right? So there's it has to be the owner of the land. That's one that would make sense. All right. Any other questions on from last class, the fine doctrine? Okay, it's not a hard doctrine, but it's a rule that you can follow with some predictability. All right, let's go into today's material. In the last class, we talked about bailment, right? Chelsea, what's a bailment?
It's a legal relationship between a bailer who gives the property to a bailee.
So if you find a ring on the floor and you pick it up, how would you describe yourself? And you're not trying to keep it. You just find the ring on the floor and you want to hold on to it until the real owner comes back.
Exactly. You're in involuntary belly. Why are you involuntary? Did the person who lost it ever ask you to become a bailey? It was kind of expressed upon you, right? Good. So last class we talked about involuntary bailments, right? Involuntary bailments, where you don't have a choice, you just sort of got thrust upon the responsibility. Today's class is a little bit different. In today's class, we might have voluntary bailments, where someone asks you to hold on to something, or maybe they gave you a gift. Oh, so you see, one of the questions in today's class is, was the person actually giving a gift, or were they merely giving something to hold on to for a short period of time? And that's an important element for this question number 3. So take 30 seconds. Oh, I never stopped that other one. I'm sorry. What are the 3 elements? Elements. What sounds like 3 elements? Sorry about that. What are 3 elements of a gift? This will be for Kira in a minute. I found with the mask, I drink a lot more water. I don't know entirely why, but I go through one of these bottles in class, straight through. Okay. All right, Kira. What are the 3 elements of a gift? Okay, I couldn't hear. So a little bit louder. I'll come over. Okay, so intent, delivery, and acceptance. We'll talk about delivery for a lot later class. We'll focus on intent now. What kind of intent must a person have to give a gift? Present intent to when? When is that gift going to effect? Well, you're not wrong, but generally, when does it go into effect? Now, in the present. You're giving something right now. Here, one more question to you. Can a gift with donative intent, that's what's called donative intent, D-O-N-A-T-I-V-E, can a gift with donative intent be revoked? I'm sorry? No. If you give a gift, your intent must be, this is a gift forever. I cannot take it back. In fact, if you can take, I'll hear one more question, sorry. If you give an item to someone, the expectation to get it back, what have you actually given them? A bailment. See, that's where it comes in, right? If I give you my car for you to borrow for the weekend, I expect it back on Monday, I've given you a bailment, right? You're a voluntary bailey, right? You gave it, you didn't have to accept it, but you took it for a weekend with the expectation I get it back. The essence of a gift, the very first element is intent. I intend to give this to you, period. End of story. I do not expect a return. I do not expect you to give it back to me. I am relinquishing my rights to this item, whatever it happens to be. Very often with these sort of gift questions, you're going to have to draw a line. Is it intending to be a gift? Or is it intending to be a bailment? And be very attentive when you sort of pick one or the other. Understood? Okay. Try question number 4. This is actually the question from your book, so you may have seen it already, but you give another stab here. Question number 4. O owns a ring. By the way, why O? Original or O. That's why it's O. There's nothing more creative than that. And A, it's A, then B, then C. O owns a ring. While visiting her daughter, O leaves the ring in the bathroom. O leaves. A discovers the ring. Okay? When A calls O to tell her the discovery, O says, keep the ring as a gift. So the question for you all, has O made a gift to A? Yes or no? Okay, another 5 seconds, and then I think Hunter's next. All right, I think I got everyone.
Guys, one at a time. Only one person talks. All right, that person's Hunter. What did you put, sir?
I put A.
Why did you put A?
So from the way it seems, even though it lives left there, when she presently had the conversation, she informed the intent to create the gift.
All right, so let's go with 3 elements, right? Was the ring accepted?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Was the ring delivered?
I guess constructively.
And was there intent to give a gift?
She formed it, so yeah.
Let's see. Oh, this is actually, not a blow up. It's good. It's close. Gabriel, what would you put here? You put no, there's not a gift. Okay, why'd you put no?
At the time that she left the ring by the sink, there was no intent to give it as a gift, and there was no manual delivery to be donated.
So you think intent must come before the delivery? Well, let's say the facts are different. Let's say the mom said, sweetheart, I want to give you this ring. And she just forgot and she left it in her finger. And then she has to leave it on the sink that night. And then the next day the daughter took it. So that be a gift. Again, mom said, I want to give you this ring right now. And then, it slipped her mind. They went out for dinner or something. And she left the ring on the sink by accident. Would that be a valid gift?
No, but certainly there was an ability to.
So leaving it on her sink is not enough. Cody, what do you think? What do you put this question? A or B?
I put B,
Okay, why did you put B?
because there was no acceptance in the question.
So you think the problem, but what about the intent? When was the intent for? Before or after delivery?
I don't think there was delivery either. I think she just left it there and never actually, she didn't go back to give it to her. She didn't say, I'll give you something to say I gave you the ring. I don't think there was actually delivery either.
All right. The answer here is A. Let me explain why. Okay, let me explain why. You have 3 elements, right? Intent, delivery, and acceptance. You don't need to do the elements in order. You can mix them up. And this is on page 115, by the way, so this is in your reading. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but you don't have to do them in order. Intent can come after delivery. Why does that even make sense? Let me explain why this thing makes sense. Let's say the facts were different, right? Let's say the mom left the ring there, and then she left the country. She flew around the world. Okay? She went on a long trip. And the daughter called her and said, Mom, you left this ring here. And she said, you know what? I remember from one old property, I have to deliver it after you have intent. So daughter, here's what I want you to do. Fly all the way around the world, meet me, give me the ring, hand it back to me. I'll say, daughter, I give you the ring, give it back to the daughter, and then she flies home. Gabriel, would that be a valid gift? Yeah, everyone agrees it would. It's also a waste of time, right? So the law basically says there's no reason to duplicate efforts. If there was already delivery, which was leaving the ring on the counter to the daughter's house, and there's already acceptance, the daughter took the ring from the counter, it's not a problem to slap the intent after the fact, right? It's a little bit counterintuitive. And Gabriel and Dakota, you're not like off base. I get why you did what you did, but the law doesn't require you to engage in a completely waste of time back and forth where I hand it to you, hand it back to me. It's not necessary. Okay? So here the answer is A, but close, 60%. That's not a blowout, right? Any questions on that one? Right? And I don't think there's actually constructive delivery at all. This is actual delivery, to be precise. They literally put the ring on her counter in her house, right? The same way, yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask about acceptance, when would acceptance be?
Acceptance is usually presumed upon delivery. And if you go to this question, right, I'll get to acceptance in a minute. Let me finish delivery. I'll get to acceptance, right? Any questions on delivery, right? This putting an item in a person's house is delivery, right? You don't need to put it on her finger, right? That might mean something very different, in fact, right? But leaving it in her house is sufficient.
So when we read this, when we say like, oh, leaves the ring there, it makes it sound a little bit like she forgot it.
But the
Okay.
intent retroactively changes it,
Okay, that's what it is.
right? The key point is you look at it based on all the factors after it happens. So even if the intent is done later, it sort of retroactively changes the act of leaving it there. I'll get to deliver acceptance in a minute. Is it on delivery? I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, anyone else on delivery, right? So this is actual delivery, not symbolic. Now the acceptance, which I think was Arturo was getting at a moment ago, is presumed. She found the ring. She could have said, Mom, you left this here, let me come bring it back to you. She didn't. She's like, well, I found this ring. What should I do? And the mom's like, you keep it. Right there, that's acceptance, right? She could have said, no, I don't want it. You can turn down a gift, by the way. You all know this, right? If someone makes you a gift that you don't want, you can turn it down and say, I do not want this, right? Someone gives you something expensive or very fragile that you just want to deal with. No, I don't want it. But the fact that she didn't object to it, we presume she accepted it. Acceptance is usually the easiest part of the package, right? It's almost always presumed. Yes, Arturo, go ahead.
So if you don't accept it, do you have, what sort of rules govern a rejection? Do you have to explicitly state it? Do you just send it back, take it back, remove it from your property?
You know, it's a good question. I think you need to say something, at least earlier in writing, saying, I do not want this gift. It might be sufficient, you know, to just hand it back to and say no, but words are usually necessary. So, for example, if you have a relative who dies and you inherit property, right, and you don't want the property because maybe there are high taxes, you don't have to maintain it, you usually need to have something in writing saying, I disclaim, I do not want this inheritance, right? You need to firmly reject it, otherwise you're presumed to accept it. Right. Again, just because someone, you know, your great aunt Flo wants to leave you something in her will, you may not want it. You have to pay taxes on it. You have to maintain it. You have to worry about it. You just don't want to deal with it. Not everything's free. Okay. Yes, Jason.
Does the timing of the intent in accordance with the delivery, does that play any?
Yeah, this was, I think, Clark's question a little bit before. The intent basically changed the way we look at the delivery, right? Because she didn't intend to deliver it at the time. She just took it off, washing her hands, whatever, right? But we say, okay, if that's her intent now, we will pretend she intended to give it and deliver it at that moment. You're basically retroactively putting your intent back at the beginning, which didn't exist. But the law, this is why I think Gabriel and Dakota perhaps went the other way. The law presumes this is permissible to avoid a waste of time. It's a hard question. I don't think it's an easy question. All right. Anything else? Number 4. Yeah, Arturo, and then we'll move on.
So the title pass once
Don't say title passing. Just trust me on this one. But the gift was completed, right? The gift was completed once the mom gave me, said, that's my intent. I want you to keep the gift. At that point, it was done. The deal was done. The gift was complete. Got it? I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't louder.
not really gonna ask you in your office.
No. Tell me if you don't get it. 10 other people don't get it.
Well, just because she gives the intent doesn't mean.
I'm telling you, the law says once the intent is given, the 3 elements are satisfied and the gift is complete. It's not reality. The law creates something of a fiction, right? Where you pretend as if she had this intent at the beginning. You're still not happy with it.
I'm not happy with it, but I'll accept.
I'm telling you that's the rule. So suck it up. Sorry. Let's do question 5, which is also in your book. Excuse me. Question 5. It's a little bit on the longer side, but we'll get to it. Okay. I'm not going to read it. Not read it. Change the facts up. A does not telephone O. Tell the ring has been found. 1 week later, A surprises the mom with the ring. O takes the ring and says, oh, it's so sweet, but I want you to have it. It's yours. Okay. A tries in the ring, but it's too big. And then O says, let me wear it till I can get it fit for you. O leaves the dinner wearing the ring, and of course she's hit by a car. People in this class die violently. I'm sorry it happens. Then the daughter sues the executor of the mom's estate for the ring. Can a gift be revoked by O? And this will be for, I think Kevin, I think, is up next. And Another 10 seconds. All right, I think I spit everyone. All right, Kevin, what's your answer here, my friend? Okay. Why did you put B?
Well, she had the ring, didn't fall, but then they exchange at dinner. She gives the ring back to the ring, but she intends to give her the ring, gives her the ring, even does it all.
Okay, let me just let me just break this down. You're right. Let me just break it one step at a time, right? So in this fact pattern, the daughter holds on to the ring for 1 week, right? What is her relationship to that ring during that week? What do we call that? Yes, a bailment. The daughter's a bailee, involuntary because mom didn't do it deliberately. The daughter's a bailment. Daughter gives it back to her mom, and then Kevin, what happens?
Back to the mom, she explains it later, and then the mom then gives her the ring back.
Right. Is there intent?
Yeah.
Is there a delivery?
Yeah.
Is there an acceptance?
Yeah.
So is there a valid gift made?
Yeah.
Can that gift be revoked?
No.
It cannot be revoked. But then we learn, Kevin, one more. It goes back to the mom to hold on for a week. What's the mom's relationship to the ring now? Yes, the mom's a voluntary bailee. Everyone see that? Right? So originally the daughter was the bailee. The mom gave a valid gift to the daughter. Daughter gave the ring to the mom. Mom's a bailee now. Mom gets hit by a car. What happens when the mom dies, Kevin?
Mom dies, she's still just the AOE, so the execution has to be given back.
It gets back to the daughter eventually. So it's the daughter's ring at this point. Well, what's it? I'm sorry, what'd you say? Oh, God. Well, this class is very violent. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people died. So this wasn't going to execution, but close enough, right? All right, very good. Thank you for that, Kevin. Everyone get that, right? So the answer here is B. Did you all, let's see what you guys did on this one. Results. Okay, good. 75%. Not 100%, but good. Trey.
So, I don't know what the answer is, but if when she gives her daughter the ring and she tries it on, it's too big for her finger, the mother says, okay, well, you know what, just give it back to me and you can have it when I die. And
Oh, you're writing a completely different question.
yes. So is there acceptance there in that case?
You're going to a different game. I'll get to the death questions in a few minutes, I promise.
Okay.
But you're changing the facts significantly. That could be a little bit different. Yeah, Tony.
You had mentioned that she couldn't reject the gift.
Revoke.
Revoke it.
Right. Once the mom makes a valid gift, she can't cancel it. It's not hers to cancel it. She gives it away. Right. The mom had the bundle of sticks, so to speak. She gave the entire bundle to her daughter. She has no more sticks. Okay.
Makes sense, yeah.
Any other questions on number 5? Yes, Monet.
I think so. In the reading, it was saying like with gift cause of Mortis.
I'm gonna get there later, I promise.
So this is
I'm
something totally different.
not yet. I promise we'll get there later.
Okay.
I'll get there later. I'm not ready for death stuff. I'll Trey know death stuff. You know death stuff now. We'll get to death stuff later. In a few minutes, actually, but not quite there yet. Any other questions at number 5? All right. Let's talk about delivery for a few minutes, right? Arturo, why is delivery such an important element of gift giving? Why do we make such a big deal about delivery, which seems to have tripped a couple of you up also?
Well, I would assume it's the best form of proof.
Oh, what do you mean the best form of proof? I think you're on the right track.
If you have possession of it, I'm tempted to say possession is 90% of the law, but I mean, going back to when law developed, I would imagine if you have the actual item that you claim was given to you, that's pretty good proof that it was given to you.
I mean, what's the best proof that you have a gift? The gift, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Think back in the olden days, people couldn't read, they couldn't write, people had short lifespans, they didn't remember, people lie, right? The best evidence of a gift is actually the land. If I want to give you a ring, I'll give you the ring. If I want to give you a book, I'll give you the book. If I want to give you land, how do I get someone land? how do you deliver land? Can you just hand someone the entire field?
Didn't it say something about like giving a stick or a branch?
There is, and I have a video for that. So this is a video that describes the process known as livery of season. You can see it. Let me make it full screen. Livery of season. And this is actually a ritual that was done for the longest time to convey property. This is how you actually deliver a gift of property. And it's called livery of season, S-E-I-S-I-N. You'll see it spelled as Z, S-E-I-Z-I-N. Spelled both ways.
Today we're talking with Michael Robinson from Robinson and Henry Law Practitioners. Michael, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us. Glad to be here. We had done a previous segment. We were talking about deeds and the different types of deeds. We went through the standard 6, but at the end we started talking about a very old method in which they used to transfer property, and it was called livery of season. Is that correct?
Sure is, and that's where the word deed actually comes from, is that action.
All right, real quick, what is livery of season recap?
Because most people were illiterate in England at the time this thing developed, they would bring witnesses out to the property, and witnesses would be able to witness the buyer giving money, the seller giving over the actual physical parts of the property, namely turf and twig, which is the two things that it's called turf and twig ceremony.
All right, so for the first time ever on Broker IP TV, we'll do a reenactment here.
I think it's an
All right,
excellent idea.
so what we're going to do is we're in Old England, and we're going to transfer property. And of course, we have to dress the part. Now, am I the buyer or the seller?
You are the buyer.
And you're selling me this land.
Yes, and we've come out here with 2 witnesses
Okay.
to watch
All right.
all this happen.
And how does this procedure go?
Okay. You're going to start by cutting out a piece of turf on the property.
All right, so we'll just,
And you hold on to that turf.
I hold on the turf. Okay.
Now, put money in the hole.
All right, I got some cash. How about a buck for this?
Buck
Will
is
this
worth
work?
here. It's a couple shillings back in Old England.
Okay.
Okay. And then hand me the sod.
This piece?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And I take the twig.
Yes.
and
Ready
I
for
take
this?
the sod, and I say this following: This turf and twig I give to thee, as free as Athelstan gave to me, and I hope a loving brother that will be. And I twiggle you.
Yeah, do the twiggle. It's the important part.
Yes, I do. And then I put it in the sod and I hand it to you.
Thank you.
And then you take the sod and put it back in the hole.
All right.
And with that, you just bought this wonderful property.
And I've been twiggled.
Yes, you have.
Wow.
That was so that blind people could still find some property. They couldn't see what was going on. They knew that they were at least getting the twig, and they knew that they were getting the property.
Well, that's a heck of a lot easier than the 3-hour closing today.
Okay. All right. You get the idea. All right. Now, that might look ridiculous, right? But just think back in the day, the way you reflect that you're actually is to literally transfer the soil to another person, right? And this was a ceremony, people witnessed it. And it wasn't just done once. Very often you do this once a year, where every year the grantor would hand over some symbol of the land to someone else. And when the grantor died, his son would do it, and his son would do it, right? It was a tradition to know where the land came from. It was something you repeated every year. You give, some flowers, you give a feather, right? There was something you would give every year to signify the transfer. Actual delivery was very important, and forever and ever you'll remember twiggling. You'll never forget the twiggle. That will just be burned in your retina. The fox case. Trust me, this one. You remember this from years. People tell me, I remember the twiggle, Josh. Okay, twiggle. All right. So actual delivery is the simplest form, but we have 2 other types of delivery that we discuss. Bree, help us out, please. What are the 2 other types of delivery that are discussed in the reading? Okay, so I'll come back to you in a second, Bree. The line between symbolic and constructive delivery is very thin. And no matter what I say, no matter what Bree says, we'll say, Josh, I don't understand the difference. And my answer to you is, you're right. These are not entirely distinct concepts. They overlap. But I'll try as best as I can, as best as Bree can, to give you some insights. So Bree, help us out. What's a constructive delivery?
Constructive delivery is where you give something like a key to the actual item that's the gift.
Why can't you just hand over the actual item, Bree?
Maybe it's too heavy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Okay, so thank you. You're right. She's exactly right. The law treats differently big things. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. Think of a whale, right? Can you use the rule of capture for a whale? Well, not exactly, because a whale's too big to hold. When something's too big to hold, the law has different rules. It comes up all the time, all right? With constructive delivery, it's something that's not possible to hand over, like a big piano, right? You can't just hand over a piano, for example. So you can do something short of handing it over. The word constructive, you'll see pop up over and over again, means not 100%, but something approaching 100%, right? You've done substantial steps towards delivery. So Bree mentioned a key. That's a good example. If there's some piece of furniture that's opened by a key, and I give you the key, that might be enough. Or even more simply, if there's a house, and I give you the keys to the house, that might be enough. You can't hand someone a house. It's a big house. But giving the key might be sufficient. And you might be laughing at this turf and twiggle thing, right? But if you ever actually went to a closing for a house, what's the very last thing they do? They put the keys in your hands. You ever go buy a car? The last thing they do, they put the keys in your hand. To this day, literally, you have the descent of the twiggle. They're putting something in your hand to signify from A to B. You're transferring the property. So this is still done. Jocelyn, what's symbolic delivery? Okay. What do you mean by symbolic? Help us out. Right. Why is a symbolic delivery on paper perhaps better than some sort of constructed delivery like a key? Why is symbolic delivery maybe a little bit more acceptable? I'm sorry? But with symbolic, what are you worried about with these sort of constructive or symbolic gifts, deliveries? Why is it worrisome to the courts? What's the risk of happening? Fraud. Yes, fraud. There's a risk of fraud. Right? There's a risk of fraud. We don't know what they intended. We don't know what a key meant. Look at the case that we're going to do in a few minutes, the Van Pelt case. We have no idea what the guy meant by this key. Courts do not like uncertainty. They like something certain. If it's in writing saying, I am giving to you my painting, we know what you meant. I am giving you this piano, we know what you meant. Versus, here's a key, wink, wink, nod, nod. Right? Because it's possible that the people involved might not be honest. It's true, there are lying people in this world. Right? And people who are not honest may decide to lie about what was actually intended. So when you're trying to figure out the delivery, it often informs the intent, right? The donative intent and delivery are very closely tied together. Because how a person delivers a gift often reflects what he intends to do. And the more constructive a gift is, the less likely he intended to give the gift in the first place, right? If he gives it a very, handing someone a key when they can just hand him the life insurance policy, that suggests to me he did not have the intent. So the intent, excuse me, the intent and delivery are often very closely linked. Okay. And we get a difference between constructed and symbolic. With symbolic delivery, there's usually some sort of written instrument, but it doesn't have to be, which is why it's somewhat murky. Yes, Trey. Yeah, I can't think of one now. I think someone once gave me an example a couple of years ago. It's actually decent. Imagine there's some family tradition where every year, right, you take a trip to a certain place. You have a symbol that represents that summer vacation, right? You always, I don't speak of it, you always plant roses at a house in the country, right? That's your tradition every year. And the family knows that when you have those roses, it means that house. If I give you one of those roses, and everyone in the family knows that rose means the house, that might be an aspect, right? But it's based on something that's understood by the family. Or like, I don't know. And every year you go swimming and there's certain swimming suit you use, right? It has to be a symbol that people know, but that's really hard because even family members might not agree on what the symbol is. Does that kind of get at it? Someone gave me an example a couple years ago. I thought it was actually pretty good. I'm botching it, but that was the gist of it. All right. Questions on symbolic for actual delivery or constructive? All right. So we're going to come back now to the idea of intent in the first case. Oh, briefly, I mentioned engagement rings. This often comes up. Is an engagement ring a gift? Right? And I'll just use the common example. A guy gives a girl a ring, says, "Will you marry me?" She says yes, and they give her the ring. I suppose if she says no, then he keeps the ring, right? But if she says yes, he gives her the ring. What happens if the wedding is called off? People are nodding, right? Can he get the ring back? And so first off, can you sue a person for breach of contract if she breaks off a wedding? The answer is no, absolutely not. It's a violation of public policy. You can't force them to get married against their will. So you can't seek that. Well, you can't. Not in this country, at least, right? You can't seek damages against a person for breaking up an engagement ring. That's not going to work. But can you recover the ring? And what some modern courts have actually said is the ring is a conditional gift. It's sort of a weird thing, right? You say, "Oh, Josh, you can't revoke a gift." But this is not a gift permanent. It's a gift, basically anticipation of something happening. So in effect, the woman holding the ring for the period of the engagement is basically a bailee. And the ring becomes final upon the consummation, so to speak, of the wedding, when they actually say "I do." So some courts have actually allowed recovery for engagement rings, but those are very hard suits to win in. I never get why would a person want to keep the ring if the engagement's broken up. I guess money, right? But isn't it bad vibes? I don't know. What do I know? Sophia, enlighten us.
I know book was talking about the donor can't recover the ring if the donor is not involved.
Right. So that's one of the wrinkles, right? So let's say the guy proposes to the girl and then the guy cheats, and that's why the engagement breaks off. Some courts have said if the donor, or usually it's the guy, is at fault, you can't recover. But it's also possible the other partner is at fault, and if she's at fault, then the donor can still recover. So yeah, that's true. The law in this area is very, very ugly, right? If you ever want to, someone might be interested in family law, it's an ugly area of the law because people are in domestic court. It's personal. It gets very bitter. Divorce law, custody, it's dreadful. I mean, it's important law, but it's not for the faint of heart. Trey, was your hand up?
Yeah, I just so an example of a constructive delivery, like for as a key, would be like a car key, like a close. When you buy a car, you get the key. But like a key for a symbolic delivery might be a key to a dresser that contains a document.
Yeah, but a key to a dresser is more like constructive. The example that I gave to Trey a minute ago was something that really symbolizes something, but doesn't actually open it up. That might be, it's a symbol in your mind, but doesn't actually open it up. Does that make sense? Not a great example. Again, the distinction is thin. I don't even want to. You shouldn't even kill yourself thinking about the distinction, but it's there. Darvish.
So like the difference in thinking of symbolic versus constructive is like at closing, a deed to a house would be symbolic, and constructive would be a key to the house.
Yeah, that could work. But again, if you have the deed in your hand, then the keys are sort of irrelevant, right? Because you have the keys. We don't leave stuff to chance anymore. You got paperwork to back everything up. Right? If you ever bought a house, there's hundreds of pages of stuff you have to sign. There's no disputing what's actually being done here. All right, let's do the first case. First, actually, before we get to the first case, let's just some terminology. Someone said it before about the death stuff, and now we're getting to the death stuff. I promise you, I get there, and I'm there. All right, so Vicky, help us out, please, Vicky. What's the difference between an inter vivos gift and a testamentary gift? So, just more, what while you're still alive? Okay. Inter vivos is a gift given during life, viva, like life, right? And then what's a testamentary gift there, Vicky? It's a gift that goes into effect after your death. Okay, very good. You'll need to know this distinction, right? An inter vivos gift is a gift given during life, right? I'm alive, you're alive, I'm giving you a gift. It's great. Right? Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever. A testamentary gift is different. A testamentary gift is saying, when I die, my intent is for you to get X. Now, why does this distinction matter? An inter vivos gift cannot be revoked. Cannot be revoked. It's permanent. Once I give you this ring, it's yours. It's not mine anymore. But the testamentary gift can be revoked. I can rip up my will and write a new one tomorrow, because until I die, it ain't over. True. It's true, right? But until you die, it's not over. You can rip up your will. You can rip up your will anytime. Why does that matter? Because if I write my will today and I can make a valid testamentary gift to you, you can't bank on that because I can rip my will up. Say, oh, I got remarried, I got new kids. Oh, you were nice, but not anymore. Think of poor Miss Julia in this case, right? Why does it matter even more? An inter vivos gift does not need to be in writing. Handing the item over is sufficient. You can have constructive delivery. You can have symbolic delivery, right? But a testamentary gift must be in writing. Not only that, witnesses, 2 witnesses sign it. The statute of wills, you've heard the statute of frauds, or the statute of wills. The statute of wills ensures that a testamentary gift must be signed by 2 witnesses. Nikki, why do you think you need to have 2 signatures of 2 witnesses on a testamentary gift? What are you worried about? Fraud. What does having 2 witnesses sort of help with? Yeah, exactly. One more question, Nikki. Usually when a person is older and dying, do they even have older sentences with them? They might be taking advantage of, right? So what's also witnesses making sure it's going on? Duress. Very good. Yeah, exactly. It's a guard against fraud, guard against duress, manipulation, exploitation, right? If someone's elderly, they don't even know what they're signing, they're just putting their name to it. Or maybe it never happened at all. Maybe they just made up a document. They just lied, they made something up out of whole cloth. So for the testamentary gifts, statute of wills ensures you need these 2 independent witnesses. And by the way, the witness can be the person getting the property. It's got to be someone else because they're not trustworthy. It makes sense. You will take a class called Wills and Trusts, which is all about testamentary gifts. This class is all about inter vivos gifts, right? I'm telling you this right now. If your answer on the exam is it's a testamentary gift, you're probably wrong. I don't want to say always because I might actually try and trick you, but it's almost always going to be inter vivos. Not always, but just about almost always. All right? This distinction matters a lot for the next case. One more terminology before we get into it. Tony, what's a donatio causa mortis? Let's call it a gift causa mortis. You'll see it both ways. Gift causa mortis or donatio causa mortis. What does that mean, Tony?
So, living gift.
It's in the case.
Yeah. I could search it.
No, you can tell me.
Gift causa mortis is a gift that's given before you're going to die or with the knowledge that you're going to die.
But how close to death do you have to be?
On your deathbed.
Good. Why is a deathbed gift considered a little bit different?
Because you know that you're going to be, that death is inevitable.
And what do you not have time to do?
Draft up a will.
Good. Right. The idea of a gift causa mortis is literally a deathbed confession. Mortis is death, right? Mortician. Think of you're on your deathbed. You're about to die. You don't have time to call a lawyer. You don't have time to call a lawyer. So you say, let me do something else, right? You don't have time to find witnesses. So you can just give an oral statement saying, here's my intent. But the courts are very hesitant to enforce deathbed confessions. Why? Fraud, duress, manipulation, exploitation. Think of it this way. The only person who's alive to tell is the person who stands to benefit from the will. Dead men tell no tales, as they say, right? The only person alive is the person who stands to benefit. And we don't always trust them. Let's say Elizabeth's Julia. Right, Craig. Sure. Yeah. How are they going to know about it? Because the person with you is alive. No, I'm
They're an honest person.
my Trey. You know this class is full of crooks, right? The reason why this class exists is we don't have honest people. If we have honest people, they don't go to court. They resolve like normal human beings. They say, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is your fox. You can have this fox, right? Oh, I'm sorry, those are your ducks. I won't shoot my gun at you, right? Oh, that's your whale. You can have the whale, right? Every case involves, oh, that's your newspaper. Oh, that's your newspaper. Every case is a bunch of jerks in this class, right? So, like, I didn't go to rant, but this class law school exists because people are not honest. Right? If people were honest, none of you would have jobs. If people did things the right way, you'd all be unemployed, right? Because we didn't need so many damn lawyers. All right, we're going to rant over. All right, yeah. Chad, save us.
Deathbed gifts, are they given more priority? Like, would a will override a deathbed gift?
No, the deathbed's the last statement of its intent. The deathbed overrides the written will, which is why it's really problematic. He might have written a will 10 years ago before he met this girl, which is completely out of date. And if they don't update their will, the later in time confession can actually override the written document, which is very risky. Yeah, go ahead.
Wasn't there, Anna Nicole Smith?
Oh, I was going to have 30 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I should only get Anna Nicole in a few minutes. I'm not there yet. All right. Again, so everyone's a crook, Trey. Sorry to pour water in bed. That's going to pay your student loan bills, right? People aren't honest. It's true. Oh, look, it's true. All right, so let's walk through this case, right? And we're running a little bit short on time, so I'll do a little bit of summary. We have Mr. Van Pelt. He's a wealthy man, owns a business, was the mayor of his town, and something happens. His wife dies, right? His wife dies. Some years later, a housekeeper moves in, Miss Julia Newman. She's about 40-something years younger than him. Yet somehow, amazingly, despite their age difference, they fall in love. A couple of you are rolling your eyes. He makes her all these promises. He says, "Sweetheart, I'm going to marry you." He never does. "Sweetheart, I'm going to give you all this stuff." He never does. "I'm going to give you the piano." He never gives it to her. It's a tale all this time, right? We've all, it's like a soap opera, right? And then, at the very end of his life, we have this amazing scene where the nurse calls the girlfriend into the room, and we learn that Van Pelt decided to give her everything. And then he dies, and they say, it's like, who the hell are you? Right? Who are you? You're the housekeeper. Get lost, right? You don't have a damn thing. So we have a dispute between the girlfriend and the estate, the executor of the estate. And this dispute centers on 4 items, right? There's a piano. There is furniture in Julia's bedroom. Okay. There is furniture in the house. And number 4, there's a $3,000 life insurance policy. All right. So let's walk through them one at a time. All right. Natalie, what's the deal with the piano?
So the piano was kept in the parlor, actually not in her.
Oh, that's important, right? Why is the fact that it wasn't in her room important, Natalie?
Because it would show that she didn't have possession of it.
So go through the 3 elements. What was not done for the piano?
So if it was intended to go with her, then like the fact that it was in the parlor didn't show.
So your intent, what's the other element that's related? See how delivery and intent are related, right? If he actually intended to give her the piano, he would deliver it to her room, wouldn't he? Or maybe not. Maybe you keep the piano in the parlor, but it's for her to play. We don't know, right? Do we really know what his intent was for the piano? No. We're not sure. Because at some point he said it called it Miss Julia's piano. He said he intended to give it to her. But he never gave it to her. It was just right in a fire. So the court says maybe yes, maybe no, we don't know. We'll let the trial court figure it out, but maybe he had the intent, even if there's no physical delivery of the piano, it might be enough. All right. So the piano, she maybe wins, maybe doesn't. Clarissa, Clarissa, I'm sorry, Carissa. I'm sure you get that a lot. If you're a 90s kid, Clarissa Explains It All. That was a big show. Anyone? Sorry. Carissa, what about the furniture in Julia's bedroom? Okay, why was there a valid gift of the furniture in Miss Julia's bedroom?
I think it was because she was like the housekeeper and they just gave her like what she considered her personal possession.
Guys, let's look at the factors. Did the old guy, Van Pelt, intend to give it to her?
He intended to give her everything in the house.
No. I'm just talking about the furniture in her bedroom.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And how do we know that?
Because I mean, he told her
And where was the furniture located?
in her bedroom.
That's it, right? The key move here is delivery. It was in her bedroom. Van Pelt said, I'm giving it to you, for you, and he moved it to her bedroom. That act, combining the intent to give it, expressed orally, and the physical delivery of the furniture to her bedroom is sufficient for a gift. So she gets a $45 for the value of the furniture, which is not a lot, but it's something. Those are the easier cases. Then we get to this amazing scene. Lloyd, help us out here. Do you believe the facts happen as Miss Julia recounted them? Be honest. Too poetic. What do you mean too poetic? That's a fun way of saying it. Do you think she made it up? Do you think she made this entire thing up?
Maybe not, but maybe substantial.
Okay. Is anyone, Edward, do you believe her?
No, I mean, especially considering that nurse was like asked to like get out of the room to take place.
So who's the only witnesses who saw this thing happening? Yeah. Right. So this is the problem with these deathbed confessions. There's no way of verifying what they're true. I mean, today you take your iPhone and record it, right? But back then, there's no way of verifying it. Does anyone actually believe this, Julia? This actually happened? You believe her?
Yeah, I believe her.
You believe her? Yeah, Craig, you believe her?
I mean, he didn't have anybody else who was gonna go to.
Oh, he had kids. He had his estate. Guys, one at a time. Oh, no kids. Okay, he had family, right? He had an estate, though.
He didn't have children.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. He had correct. But he had family. He had someone. All right, I don't care if you believe her or not. It's not very important to me. But does the court believe her, Mike? Does the court believe Miss Julia? No way. How do we know this? How do we know the court doesn't believe her? There's an easy answer.
It's not realistic, I guess.
I'll ask the question differently. Does the court credit what Julia said?
No.
What do you think the court actually understood happened here?
They think that in terms of like all the things that she believed that he offered her, he offered her.
In other words, Mike, let me ask it differently. If Mr. Van Pelt wanted to give her the insurance policy, what would he have done?
He could have just gave it to her.
He handed it to her. Why didn't he hand it to her, Mike?
Well, he was on his deathbed, and he couldn't necessarily probably get it out the door.
So you believe her?
No.
I
I do believe her, but
you don't have to, whatever you think.
I kind of do, but it's.
So, I mean, he gave her the key, right? Could he have just said to the key, go over there and open the drawer and get my policy? Would that have been a lot more work?
For him to say it, because he was kind of sick.
Maybe, right. Maybe it would have been so painful for him to even say it. But I think what the court's getting at is, when you have something like a life insurance policy, you can have actual delivery. This constructive stuff's not going to cut it, right? Constructive delivery for the policy is not going to cut it because actual delivery would have been so easy. Now, maybe Mike's right. Maybe the guy was in such pain, he couldn't even couldn't express to go over to the dresser and get you the paper. Okay. Andres, what about the key, right? What about the fact that the key opens some of the furniture? What's that construct symbolic of?
Well, I guess before we come to the argument that if he would have wanted to give him the insurance, he probably would have pointed at it like more.
What about the furniture? The furniture in the house? Did the key open all the furniture in the house?
I guess like it was like key to the house. So
No, it wasn't a key to the house. It was a key for what?
it's like it was multiple keys, wasn't it?
What?
There were multiple keys.
Well, there was a key to open some furniture.
Right. Like that little box. Right?
Did giving someone that key mean that all the furniture in the house would be conveyed?
No.
What would be conveyed?
Like just box.
Just the furniture that could be opened by the key. All right, good. All right, so what the court says is, look, this incident where the guy gives the girl the key, all he was saying is, you can have the furniture that this will be opened up by this key, which is a couple of the pieces. It's not giving the contents of the furniture, for example, the life insurance policy. And maybe just go back to the point before, it's actually fairly easy to change the beneficiary in a life insurance policy. If at any point before his death, he said, you know what, this is a woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, he would have to take one pen and write her name in the policy. It would not have been hard. But maybe he only realized at the very end that, she stuck with him till the bitter end, and she was with him to his dying days. And he goes, you know what, I want this to be my legacy. I want her to have it. So we don't know. Maybe Bree or Monet can tell me, but the court doesn't believe her for 1 minute. Clark, go ahead.
Is there any like weight given to the fact that wasn't this other guy Enos Houston was there?
Yeah, that's the nurse, right?
Sorry.
That Enos was the nurse.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, so wasn't there a witness then to? I know that doesn't really.
Well. So with the statute of wills, right? You need two witnesses and writing. There's no writing here at all. You have instead you have this gift causa mortis, which is basically the deathbed confessional. And the court says we're going to restrict the deathbed confessional as narrowly as possible because there's not clear evidence. We're not going to enforce it. So I had somewhere there. Oh yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't believe her either.
You don't believe her, okay?
I have a question about the ownership of the furniture and the contents of it. And that was when we read the Hennedy case, the groceries inside of the house, but obviously it was lost property, so the person that got it, they had to keep it. But they said that if he owned the house, like if it's attached to the property. In this case, if something is attached to the furniture, would that not be the property that she owns if you own the thing itself?
Right, but it's what's the intent, right? If you only intended to give the furniture, not the contents, then it only goes so far. Right, you're right about you're right that the owner owns what's inside his house, right? There's no dispute about that. But as the owner, he can decide on giving this part to X and this part to Y. He can divvy it up.
My next question would be, would it change if hypothetically she purchased the furniture and the contents inside happen to have something of value? Would you then own
She
that
purchased
book?
it.
Yeah.
Oh, so she put her stuff in this cabinet?
No, like something that belonged to somebody else, belonged to him. But she bought the furniture, so does she get the contents then?
Well, she bought it, it's hers. It was in his house.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're living in someone's house as a worker and you have your own stuff, that belongs to the owner. All right, so again, to summarize, the piano, maybe hers, maybe not, the intent is not clear, right? The furniture in Julia's room, that was hers because it was intent and delivery. The furniture in the house, she only got the pieces that we opened up by the key. And the $3,000 life insurance policy went to the estate. Someone was the executor, right? I mean, and just going back to the point, he appointed someone as the executor, right? He could have probably told his executor, there's this girl in my life. I love her very much. I want her to get he didn't do any of that stuff. I think he was stringing her along. Maybe, I don't know. But then we have Anna Nicole Smith. I promise I'll get to in a bit, right? Anna Nicole Smith, was she a Playboy Playmate, I think? I'm not sure, right? But use your imagination. She was a stripper, wasn't she? So a very wealthy Texan met her at a strip club, and she was in her 20s. He was in his 80s, and they got married. And then there was this massive fight over his estate because it was worth billions of dollars. In fact, went to the U.S. Supreme Court on some related issues involving bankruptcy. Now she died. She's not with us anymore. He's dead, and they're still fighting over the money years later. So what did someone say to the class? someone did. It's like men do stupid things for women. Maybe that's true. So maybe the guy in the last minute said, you know what? I want her to have everything. He really did intend it, but we don't know. Yeah, Pierre.
Do you think that part of the reason why the court, didn't believe with her is because they probably came to the assumption that he didn't even remember that the policy was inside?
It's possible. Maybe he had no idea what was going on. Maybe he just. I mean, we really don't know. Yes, go ahead, Amadi.
So, we're talking about intent and all that stuff, like proving intent, this guy's dead. But going back to, yes, and, going back to Clark's point about Houston being there, can't we use her testimony of witnessing all this to also kind of prove his intent to give it to her?
Right, but it's a statement in her interest, right? She's not objective. So the court can listen to her testimony but say, look, this is the statement of an orphan housekeeper who stands to inherit a substantial amount of money. I think she has an interest in life.
I'm talking about the nurse who was there.
The nurse is a better witness, but that's
That's not like
it's not enough.
Okay.
No. Yeah, because for all we know, the nurse is in what is it, Maddie? Right, the nurse might be the cahoots. As we're looking for cahoots with the housekeeper.
Just a little, need some clarity on the facts. So the insurance policy was inside a piece of furniture that the key.
Yeah, it was basically a document. He said paper that was inside of his dresser.
And she had the key to unlock the dresser.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, this is a flip one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the court also said if it was a safe, it's sort of a difference because things like that.
A safe is designed to keep valuable items. A dresser could be for clothes or whatever.
So if you would have got,
Yeah, I mean, so what happens if he had a vault at the bank and he gave her the combination for his bank vault? I think it'd be a different story because you put a vault for the purpose of having valuable items to retrieve later. Yep. I think that would make a difference. Yeah. Anything else on the first case? Yeah, Tony and then Chad.
I have a question mark in my notes on, I don't remember if it was Fox and Jeremiah, but the safety deposit box.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the case I'm talking about.
Is the Virginia case they mentioned?
Yeah, the sister was entitled to the first 4 bonds in the box, but when hand delivered to her, the remaining contents were not delivered, even though she was a joint.
I don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because
It's okay. Yeah. I think there was another case in Virginia they mentioned, I'm blanking on the name, but they said the intent there was clear. It said, this is for you. Made a difference. Chad?
I think that's what I was getting at too. Like if he had specifically said.
Different story if he said it, but again, you may not believe her testimony. That's the problem with the deathbed confessionals. The court does not want to enforce it. Anwar?
You had mentioned earlier how like nowadays, like for the nation of give cause Mortis, like we have the ability to record, with someone with their iPhone or something like that.
Yeah.
Does that have to consent for that, or can you?
I mean, look, people can say stuff on an iPhone video that's under duress, right? You don't know the circumstances, so it's still the fact you do not have the witnesses, objective, neutral witnesses, make it suspect, right? I can say, read this statement on my iPhone, or I'm going to shoot you, right? People are duress. Yeah, 1, 2.
What if someone's like on their deathbed, but they're like or they're on like painkillers?
Yeah.
Do they still like give weight to that?
Well, that's why if you're under influence, you can't have capacity to make a contract in general. Which is why, again, someone on their deathbed is not a good person to be giving testimony because they're loopy, their mind's not straight, they don't know what's going on. All right, last one, Clark. Then I want to do the second case.
What constitutes an objective witness besides somebody like a notary?
Someone who doesn't stand to benefit.
Anybody, can you say that person promised the money no matter what? Like they're in
Yeah, but they have to. I mean, the way it works now is you basically sign a statement saying, "I have no interest, I have no agreements. This is done under free will, etc." I mean, most times it's the secretary of the lawyer who does it, who's a notary, or the paralegal. They usually do it. But in other words, when you're writing a will, you want there to be no doubt that your witnesses are good, right? You don't want to have any doubt that your witnesses are valid because that means your intent will be disrupted. All right, let's move on. All right, the next case is actually my favorite case in the entire book. Maybe my favorite case. I love this case because it's such a good case, right? The facts are just delightful. So again, we're short in time. I'll just do a little more summarizing. You have this painting by Gustav Klimt. Anyone a Klimt fan? I don't like art. Yes, Sarah, you like Klimt? Do you like this painting?
I do. I've actually never
What about it do you like? I don't understand art. Just I'm classless. I get bored at museums. So I just, it doesn't do anything for me.
I didn't end up graduating as an art history major, but I started out as one.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's so cool. So you like the way it's laid out?
Yeah. The way things work is probably so abnormal. It's not usually like
Okay, thank you. I have no idea since art. It's worth money. People pay for it. It's like an NFT. I have no idea why, but people pay money for it. Just go figure. Thank you, Sarah. So this is valuable painting. Victor Gruen is a wealthy person. He's an architect. He purchased this painting. It's his, right? He buys at auction. He has a full bundle of sticks. The father owns the painting. Free and clear, it's his. He writes a letter to his son on the 21st birthday. Okay? This is letter number 1, because there are a couple letters. And the letter says, let me make sure I get you the exact language. He says, where is it? On your 21st birthday, I am giving you the painting. But I wish to retain possession of it for my lifetime. All right? So I'm giving you the painting, but I wish to retain possession of it for my lifetime. We have to. Ketsia. Just focus on the first letter. Forget what came afterwards, or they destroyed the other one. Forget that for a minute. First letter. Did the father give his son an inter vivos gift or a testamentary gift?
I would say testamentary gift, and it was supposed to be given to him after he died.
Okay. Remember I said a few minutes ago that if the answer is testamentary, you're probably wrong? But why? So again, that you're not necessarily wrong. So what's the definition of an inter vivos gift?
It is like, why does it only gift to be given after death, but it must be in writing and it must have 2 witnesses?
No. I think you just confused them. What's inter vivos?
Okay. Then the other one, inter vivos one, is a gift between, I thought it was gift between living people.
Yeah, it's a gift given during life. Can an inter vivos gift be revoked? That's it.
No, it's not.
Okay. So when we're looking at this case, this is a hard case, but I think it's an important case. We have to ask, is this gift inter vivos or testamentary? In order for a gift to be inter vivos, something must be given during life. Now, Ketsi said a minute ago, which is not irrational, that the kid gets the painting after he dies, right? It stays on the father's wall, and then when the father dies, it goes to the son. But Chad, is this gift inter vivos or testamentary?
Inter vivos.
Tell me why.
The way that I kind of interpret it was that the father gave the son all the bundle of sticks except for one, which was the possession stick. And he kept that until he dies. And then once he dies, the son has the full bundle of sticks.
You are so close. That's like a 99% answer. Very good. You're like an inch away. Okay, good job. You just did like 4 people answer. You just consolidated. So I can slow down now, right? So think in terms of the bundle of sticks, right? In the past, we've described the bundle of sticks as the right to exclude, the right to include, the right to buy, the right to sell, right? When you have the entire bundle of sticks, right, you can do whatever you want. You're the king. But you can chop up your bundle. You might say, okay, I'll give you a lease for 1 year. And after that lease is over, I get it back. Right? I'll give you a lease. You have it for 1 year, and then after that's mine. Or you might say, I'll allow you to hunt my property. I'll give you one of my sticks, the right to use. But that hunting only is seasonal. Like every winter you can hunt, and then the rest of the year it's mine. And I'll give that person the right to use it in the summer as a cottage for a summer home. When you have the bundle of sticks, you can chop things up. But think of the bundle of sticks not only in terms of what you can do it, but when you can do it. He can hunt in the winter. She can use it as a summer home. All right? What if I didn't just limit it to a season of the year? What if I told you, you know what? You can use this property for the rest of your life. When you die, it comes back to me. You can do that. All right? Maybe someone's elderly. You want to give a nice summer home while they're in their older years. But the father kind of did the opposite. He said, all right, son, I'm going to keep it for my life. I'm giving you something else. I'm giving you a future interest. A future interest to use this property. When? After I die. I am keeping the present interest for myself. And I'm giving you the future interest. Right? I'm keeping the present interest for myself and giving you the future interest. These terms you're going to need to start becoming familiar with. Present interest and future interest. Present interest and future interest. Okay, why are these terms important? When you think of the full bundle of sticks, right? So when Tony said all sticks but one, he was like 99% of the way there. Or Chad, I'm sorry. I was last side Chad. When Chad said the full bundle of sticks, he was like 99% of the way there. When the father bought the full bundle of sticks, he had both the present interest and the future interest, right? When you have the full bundle of sticks, you have both the present interest and the future interest. What the father did was he separated his bundle. He kept the present interest for himself, and he gave the future interest to his son. Right? He kept the present interest for himself. He could hang it on his wall for his life, and he gave the future interest to his son. Why is this gift inter vivos? Because he gave his son a future interest during his life. Again, the gift is inter vivos because he gave his son a future interest during his life. It's sort of a weird thing. How do you give someone a future interest in the present? You can. Just trust me on this one, though. Just trust me on this, right? You're right. Sometimes you just have to trust me on this. You can give a present interest. You can give a future interest in the present moment. So again, the father kept a present interest for himself, and he gave a future interest to his son. Everyone with me? He started off with a full bundle of sticks, kept the present interest for himself, and the future interest for his son. Okay, everyone. Daniela, let me ask you a question. With an inter vivos gift, can you revoke it?
No.
So once he gave the son the future interest, could that gift be revoked?
No.
Did it matter if they burned the letter? No. So did it really matter if the entire thing? Oh, yeah, the letter, give me this new letter. They didn't actually matter. The only letter that mattered was the first one. I don't even care what happened afterwards. I don't care what the second one. None of that crap matters. None of it matters. The only thing that matters was the first letter. There was an intent. I intend to give you a future interest in my painting. Thank you. Angelica. So you got to anticipate that one. Right, okay, so there was an intent. I intend to give you a future interest in my painting. Was there delivery of that future interest? How do you deliver future interest if you give the painting? How's the delivery?
I think they said it was like based on the circumstances because he had the present interest. He didn't have to deliver it.
That's right. What's the letter is what type of delivery there, Angelica?
Symbolic.
Symbolic. When you're giving a future interest, you can only do it symbolically, right? If you give the actual painting, you're giving it away now. It's my painting today, it's yours in the future. The way to give a future interest is symbolically, through a writing. It says, I intend to give this to you after I die. I am giving you a future interest today. And Angelica, finish up. Did the son accept that future interest? Oh, he did. He took the letter. He burned it later, but that doesn't matter, right? He accepted the gift. So what we have here is symbolic delivery. Clarissa.
What's the difference between this and like making a will for the painting? Or like putting the painting in the will?
Can it will be revoked?
Oh, okay.
So if the father said, son, I am putting you in my will to receive this painting. And then he marries his lovely new wife. And he says, you know what? I like her better. Can he rip up the old will, make a new one? But by giving the son a future interest, that's vested. It's his. He will have that. He can't get taken away from him. No matter what the father does. Even if the father sells the painting, guess what? When the father dies, it goes to the son. The father has made a promise that cannot be broken. When the father dies, it goes to the son. No questions asked. Come with me. Yes, Alyssa.
So if we were to make the inter vivos gift to the son, and then say we made a will that was notarized, the inter vivos gift is still going to take precedent over.
Once the father makes his inter vivos gift, it's not his anymore. He no longer has a future interest. He can't leave that in his will. Because once father dies, it automatically goes to the son. There's nothing for him to give. It's not his to give anymore. You cannot revoke an inter vivos gift. It's done.
So in this case, technically, the father just automatically transformed into Bailey, right?
Yes. Well, no. It's not a belly. He has the present interest. It's not a belly. Don't confuse those two. Okay.
You can't sell the painting.
You can. It's
But
a
it
stupid.
just revert back to.
Well, don't say revert, but for reasons to become clear next class. The father can sell it with the understanding that you can keep it for my life. You're allowed to do that. You can sell something, but the person who buys from you is an idiot because you only keep it for a couple of years.
And to that point, the buyer, how would the buyer know?
It's a good question. Fraud. You got to do your due diligence, right? Let me give you some terminology which you're going to need to know. You're going to hate me, but it's true. The father said, I will keep it for the duration of my life. That present interest is called a life estate. It'll be your reading for next class, but I'm giving you a preview. What? The present interest is called a life estate. A life estate. What that means is the estate, the interest lasts for the duration of the grantor's life. Right? The duration of the grantor's life, that interest lasts. The father says, I'm giving to you for my life, it's a life estate. The future interest that follows the life estate is called a remainder. Again, the future interest, these are pairings, right? They pair together. Remember this. The future interest that follows a life estate is called a remainder. Literally what's left over after the life estate, if you want to think of it that way, right? The father gave himself a life estate, gave himself a present interest, a life estate, and the father gave the future interest to the son. That future interest is called a remainder. All right. So the inter vivos gift was actually for the remainder. In the first letter, letter number 1, he gave his son a remainder. That's a valid inter vivos gift, cannot be revoked. The son holds on to that forever.
Do you give the same future interest gift to more than one person?
No. Well, not legally at least, right? You can commit fraud. But once the father gave the remainder to the son, the bundle of sticks was severed. All the father had was a present interest in life estate. He can't give anything else beyond that. Daniel?
At the moment of the father's death, does son then have both present? and
Yes, that's my very next point. I'll get there in a minute, I promise. My very next point. All right. So what happens when the father dies? Again, the father had a life estate, and the son had the future interest. When the father dies, his present interest merges with the son's interest. Right? The father's present interest merges with the son's future interest. The son then has a full bundle of sticks. The son then has a full bundle of sticks. I'm going to give you another terminology. You're going to hate me, but trust me, this one. What do you call it when you have the full bundle of sticks? I'm going to do the reading for Thursday. A fee simple. Also called a fee simple absolute. Right? Fee refers to an ownership, right? It's most simple, the most basic interest there is. When you have the full bundle of sticks, you have all the present interests and all the future interests, you have a fee simple. It's also called a fee simple absolute. I don't care if you say absolute, I don't, but just so you have it for completeness in your notes. A fee simple is when you have both the present and future interest. You have the entire bundle of sticks. When you have the entire bundle of sticks, you have control. So again, the father bought the painting at auction. He had the full bundle of sticks. He had a fee simple. The father chopped up his fee simple, got the present interest in life estate for himself. He had the future interest and remainder to his son. Great. When the father died, the bundle reunited. The son had fee simple. He had both the present and future interests. No more life estate, no more remainder. He has everything. And the son sold at auction for $5 million. He's out. This way of thinking is going to drive you bonkers. I know you're like, just oh God, Josh, my head hurts, right? When you think of property, again, don't just say title and these sort of funny words. Think in terms of what's the present interest at any given point in time, and what are the future interests. I'm going to tell you they're going to be multiple. This is easy. They're just two. In any given case, multiple present interests and multiple future interests. You need to figure out who owns property and when do they own it. This will be your challenge the next month or so. I'm serious. This is like four or 5 weeks of class. This takes you right basically through the midterm. All right, questions. I know you have them. Come on, ask. Yeah, Chad, go
I
ahead.
just have one regarding the facts of the case.
Oh, okay, fine.
Sorry, I know.
No, you gave me a good answer before you earned it. All right, go ahead.
This was for the son to get the painting.
Right.
And yet they awarded him $2.5 million in damages, representing the value of the painting plus interest. Why did they do that? The Supreme Court did.
Yeah.
First paragraph.
Are you talking about the Supreme Court, the trial court you're talking about, right?
No, the trial court found there was no gift.
Right.
And then the appellate court found there was. And then the Supreme Court.
Well, no, but the highest court is the New York Court of Appeals. So that's why I'm not sure which court you're talking about. Hold on. Let me just make sure. What page you got?
It's the last sentence in the first paragraph.
Never mind, that's not the answer.
What? I'm sorry. What happened?
It's just one of those states where the Supreme Court is the highest.
No, the Supreme Court's a trial court. Right. Yeah. So let me just make this point clear. In New York, that's what I thought you were going at. Okay. In New York, the trial court is called the Supreme Court. Why? It has supreme or general jurisdiction. The New York Court of Appeals is the highest court in the state. Maryland and New York are the only courts like that, where the highest court is called the New York Court of Appeals. There you go. So, anyway, okay. But I do want to answer questions on this fee simple stuff. Questions on this? Let me try one more time, right? So let's walk through the chronology. The father bought the painting at the auction. He had a fee simple. Present and future interest combined. He wrote his son a letter. He said, son, I'm giving you a future interest and remainder. I'm keeping for myself a life estate, present interest. He didn't actually say that, but that's how we understand what he did. He kept the painting for his life. As soon as the father died, the interests merged, and the son had fee simple, which he can then sell off to the auction house. Tony?
With the auction, the moment, when does that fee simple merger happen? Like the moment he says,
when he pays for it, actually, the answer is they deliver it to him. Yeah, probably deliver it to be precise. Questions? Yes, Alyssa.
So can multiple people have present interest in an option?
Yes. Multiple people can have present interest, multiple people can have future interest. If co-ownership, co-tenants, it gets very messy.
Say they don't both agree when future interest goes to somebody else. Like say one of the person with present interest says, oh, they can have my house.
Well, to be precise, only one person can have a specific future interest, right? But they often fight over who that person is. So it often happens that multiple people leave it to other people. All right, let me just sort of summarize and take a step back. I'll start at the exit poll if you have any thoughts. The class here starts off very simple, right? We have distinctions between interviewerless gifts and testamentary gifts. We talk about symbolic versus constructive delivery. We talk about the elements of intent, the elements of acceptance, right? But all of this is leading towards this bigger concept. That property is not a fixed ball. It is, in fact, this bundle of sticks, this bundle of rights, if you will. And at any given point in time, people have different interests. There are present interests and there are future interests. You've learned one and one today. You've learned today a present interest called life estate, which lasts the duration of the donor's life. And you've learned a concept of a future interest. The son has a remainder, which follows a life estate and kicks in after the dad died. Our next class will be painful. I'm sorry, I'm warning you in advance. But this concept just torments generations of law students. But this case I love because it introduces future interest in a very fun background with the painting. And poor stepmom got nothing. All right, anything else? I'll be in my office if you want to come talk. I'll see you all Thursday.